Okay, we're going to call this town meeting to order. Um, Today is the 24th of October. We said we weren't going to have many town meetings, and we haven't. Unfortunately, this one is not too exciting. I didn't expect to see a very big crowd tonight because don't have a lot of exciting topics, but sometimes we're governed by what has to be done by a certain date, and that's what we are tonight. So these are, when you live in a small, non-chartered town, there's things that the town has to decide in town meeting form of government that we can't decide as selectmen, and that's why we bring it to you. So thank you for attending this evening. Um, so we only have three, I'm not gonna read the calls, and Antoine will do that in a little while, but we only have three things we'll be speaking about tonight. Is the 5-year LoSiP plan. We're gonna be talking about defunding some capital of some projects that are no longer with us. And the last thing is a steep grant appropriation from the Board of Finance that we've got approval from the Board of Finance, and now we're gonna go to the town to get the final okay. The first order of business on the town meeting is to nominate and appoint a moderator. So I would like to right now open nominations for a moderator. Do I hear any nominations for a moderator? Steph? Great. So we have a nomination for Lisa Marzella. Do I hear a second? I have a second. Connie Barati. Okay. Do I hear any other nominations for moderator? Okay. Hearing none. I'd like to hear can I hear a motion to close nominations? And close nominations. Perfect. Thank you. A second. Steph. Okay. Nominations are closed. So we have one candidate, Lisa Marzella. All those in favor of naming Lisa Marzella as a moderator for tonight's meeting, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, Lisa, thank you for being the moderator, and you can take over the meeting.
Is it on? Yes. Okay, first I'll go over the ground rules for the town meeting. All residents wishing to speak, just raise your hand and I'll come to you with the microphone. I'll walk around. Comments must be on topic, addressed solely to the question on the agenda. Individuals may have a second opportunity to speak only after everyone wishing to speak once has been recognized. Each speaker will be limited to 2 minutes and cannot yield their time. On questions of protocol, voters may respectfully ask point of order on procedure, and voter eligibility is summarized as follows. All registered voters of North Stonington and all persons owning at least this isn't about, it is, I'm sorry. At least $1,000 of taxable property on the last grand list are eligible to vote on the budget on these questions. Section 7-6. Any person not legally qualified who fraudulently votes in any town meeting or votes more than once shall be fined not less than $300 or more than $500 and shall be imprisoned not less than 1 year or more than 2 years and shall be disenfranchised. Voting by assuming the name of another shall be guilty of a Class D felony, Section 9-360. Following the discussion, I'll call to move the question to a vote. We'll have, when we do vote on the question, we're going to do it by a show of hands. Hearing no objections, these are the rules of the town meeting. I'll now ask the town clerk to read the call for the first question.
Warning is hereby given to the electors and those entitled to vote at town meetings of the town of North Stonington that a special town meeting shall be held at the following location on the date and time indicated for the purposes of transacting the business set forth below. Location, North Stonington Education Center Media Center, 298 Norwich Wesley Road. Date October 24th, 2022. Time 6:30 p.m. Only those attending the meeting in person will be able to vote. The meeting will be available for comment and viewing through Zoom at the link below in the call, but those attending virtually will not be able to vote. As noted in the call, all supporting documentation will be available on the town website, www.northstoningtonct.gov, and the Zoom link for viewing and public comment only is noted in the call. Number 1, shall the town approve the amended 5-year local capital improvement plan as presented for fiscal years 2023 through 2027.
Like to ask for a motion to approve the question for discussion to follow. John Olson is first, second. Carolyn Howell, seconds. Bob, did you want to go over some details?
Sure. So what is a 5-year LoSiP plan? So LoSiP stands for Local Capital Improvement Plan. I know I was a little confused about it when I first came into office because we have road improvements, we have steep grants, and there's a lot of different ways that we use money to improve our roads in town. And this doesn't have to be used just for roads, but historically, the town has used it for road improvement. Typically, we get about anywhere from $49,000 a year from the state when it comes to this. We budget revenue of $48,000 for this. So if we get this approved, we should get money in the spring, and we still have time to work on whatever road is scheduled for this coming year, 2022, 2023. With that said, we do this every 5 years. So each year we get the money for 1 year. We work on the roads that are assigned for that year. The next year, we'll add another year to the other side of it. So we have to present to the state a 5-year plan. That doesn't mean that can't change. So what we might have in year 2 or 3, somewhere down the road, something might become more important. We have to switch it out, but we have to get an approved plan for 5 years, once a year, which is what we're doing this evening. In your packet, you should have the 5-year plan of what's scheduled. As you can see that starting in the 2022 to 2023, we have Mill Village Pentway resurfacing. We have a rotation that we use for roads. Some of the money comes from steep grants. Some comes from this LoSiP. Some comes from, is it town roads, Christine? Town aid roads. So again, there's different ways that we get money that we spend on different roads. So not every road that's going to be done in 2022, 2023 would be on here, but we try to get something typically is somewhere close to the money we're getting from the state. So again, this coming year will be Mill Village Pentway resurfacing. When that gets done, that year will be removed. Next year we'll be back to do another 5-year plan, and we'll be tacking on something at the far end of this 5-year plan to become now the new 5th year. That's it, and we can open up for any questions if anyone has any.
Any questions?
Mr. Mullane. I think it depends on the road. I'm not sure exactly. Donnie's not here. Maybe Christine, did he give you that information? So I know that the more rural roads, he still chip seals, Neil, as you did. But I'm not sure what Mill Village Pentway, if that's chip sealing or not.
Anyone else? Question or comment? Brian Rathbun's recognized.
As I look at it, I see some of the figures got parentheses around them and some don't. Does that mean that, I don't know what that means. That's my question.
That's a good question. I'm going to ask the finance director. Christine, answer that question.
So Brian, we get about $48,000 from the state every year. And if any of these projects are above that 48,000, so the 55,000 is more than, so therefore we would be spending more than what we are allotted for this project from the state funds. So we would have to use another funding source, either town aid road or town road maintenance. So the parentheses are negative, the no parentheses are positive. So, but we can never spend more than the state gives us out of this particular account.
Anyone else? Questions or comment? Could you state your name?
Lynn Faulkner, we live on Delbex Valley Road. Who estimates what it's gonna cost to do this? Do you put this up for bid?
Was the question who estimates? So the foreman at the town garage downhill typically puts things out to bid. We have some pavers we've used in the past, so we pretty much know approximately what it is per mile of road, we'll say, that has to be done. So it's a rough estimate, and then before the project starts, we'll go out for actual bid on the project. But this gives us at least a rough estimate so we can go to the state with the number. John, did you have a question?
John Olson, Wyosset Road. So we're being asked to vote for amending the 5-year plan. So what is the change is the change what you just described? You've removed one year and you're adding another, or is there something else that's
Well,
changed?
there's a couple ways. Yes, we remove 1 year from this past year. We add one at the tail end to get back to 5 years again, because that's what the state requires. But there could be changes that happen within the 5 years. So if you vote on something now, next year you could be voting on again, and one of those years could be different than it was the year before.
Right, but what's presented here
Is what,
does not show what it previously was that we're now amending, does it?
no, it does not. Christine?
So the way the question is always phrased at the town meeting is voting on the amended 5-year plan, because you vote on a 5-year plan every year. So it's a living document, but it cannot be changed unless it's changed at the town meeting.
Okay, so whatever was previously a year ago presented is what this would have been compared to,
Yes.
but that's not in the packet. Okay.
Thank you, John.
Anyone else? Question or comment?
Okay.
To make a motion to move the question to vote? Connie Berardi, second. Stephanie Mastrioni. All right, by a show of hands. Do I have to read the question?
It's a short question. Go ahead.
Shall the town approve the amended 5-year local capital improvement plan as presented for fiscal years 2023 through 2027? Show of hands for yay.
All again? Be awful if it was me.
21-0. All right,
Thank you.
then, okay. So I'll now ask the town clerk to read the second question in the call, please.
Number 2, shall the town deobligate the capital project fund Boom Bridge repair in the amount of $55,973.49, and the capital project fund financial software in the amount of $39,952.08.
Did you want to,
I'm sorry, yeah. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the question for discussion to follow? Nick Mullane makes the motion, second. Ann Norwalk,
Great. So the second question. Every year we, not every year, but when we can, we try to deobligate something that the town has already voted to put money toward. I think in the past we've learned that this is not a good thing to do during budget season, because today we're going to be deobligating about $95,000. If you do it to balance your budget, then you got to come up with that $95,000 the following year, because you've just used money that you had. It's a one-time shot. So we as a board discussed this, and we wanted to come and do this not during budget season. Budget season's coming up around the corner, but we'd rather do this now and put this money back into the undesignated fund, which is our town's rainy day fund. Because the amounts are so large, we decided, again, as a board, that we didn't want to do this just as the Board of Selectmen. We wanted to bring it to a town meeting, had the town weigh in. But basically what it is, there's 2 projects. Those that have been around for a while know that the Boom Bridge was out for quite a long time. I think it's, Nick, 12 years, long time. And to get from North Stonington to Westerly, you couldn't do that cut through near the Lewis Farm. You always had to go all the way around. And And finally, that got approved. We had to work with the state of Rhode Island and the state of Connecticut and the town of Wesley and the town of North Stonington, and it was not easy. Finally, it got approved and got finished. And with all the work done, everything been paid, we still have 55,973.49 that was approved by the town of North Stonington to put towards this project. The project's done. We don't have to put the money toward that anymore. Secondly, the 39,952.08 for software. The town and the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance looked into using a software called Infinite Visions. Infinite Visions was a software that was going to take us to a new place when it came to IT. It was the greatest thing since sliced bread, as they say. We started doing training on it, and we found that the people that were training on it in town on the town side wasn't doing all the things we had hoped it would do. So I talked to people from, I think it was Preston, Salem, Walcott, and Brooklyn, I think it was, and asked them, they all had Infinite Visions. What do you think? And almost every town said it's great for the school, but not so great on the small town side, on the town way of doing things. Taking that information back to the Board of Selectmen, we decided to not throw any more money at it, to stop where we were, go back to using what we have been using, and hopefully something better comes along somewhere down the road. But why keep throwing money at something that was not going to work great for the town? Our school system is still on Infinite Visions and it works good for them. But on the town side, it wasn't working well. So we decided to not move forward. And therefore we have 39,952.08 monies that we can deobligate. So again, these two funds, we're not using the money anymore. It's taxpayer money that came to the town. We're going to be putting it back into the undesignated fund, which is where what we normally do with when we deobligate. So that's where we are. If there's any questions, we'll be glad to take your questions.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's right. The $55,000,
The bridge is completely fixed, completely done. That's correct. No, it's a brand new bridge, is completely fixed. And if something happens to that bridge somewhere down the road, we're gonna have to then go back to the town and ask them for the money to fix it, as we would any road or any bridge. But that particular bridge is brand new. It works great, and it was a long time coming, but we don't need this money for that bridge.
what else can it be used for? Does it just go into a fund and it's there?
Well,
and you get-
basically, when it goes into the undesignated fund, which again is like our savings account for town, it's a rainy day fund. So if something dramatically bad happens, we have money we can revert to use. If you were here in 2010, when the bridge in front of Town Hall got wiped out and the part of the building where the Chinook Brewery is went down the river, we didn't have enough money in the undesignated fund to get that fixed right away. Mr. Mullane was the first selectman there, and he'll tell you that we had to wait for FEMA monies, and that bridge was out for about 3 years. By having this money in a rainy day fund, and we have some members of the Board of Finance here this evening, it protects us from having that catastrophe where we don't have a fund that we can go to fix the problem. Right now, we're gonna have, after dust settles in about another month, we'll have about 2.2 million in that fund. And the Board of Finance wants us to always have somewhere between 1.9 million and 3.3 million rough figures. And we're in pretty good shape right now with that 2.2 million. Brett, do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, when this does go back in the undesignated fund, it's not like we can just dip into that and spend it on all these different projects on a whim. Any money coming out of the undesignated fund has to go through and be approved by the Board of Finance. And anything over $20,000 for a new purchase or expense has to go to a town meeting. So it's not like this money goes back into that account and we shift it around and can move it for other projects. It would all have to come back to a town meeting if it was over $20,000 on a new expenditure.
No, so we would start from scratch. If we find more software that would work better for the town, we would bring that to the Board of Selectmen, who would then vote to send it to a town meeting, and then we would have a town meeting that we'd hopefully even have more people than we have tonight at, and they would decide on whether we should pay for that software or not. But, so we have to start the process over. As Brett just said, we just can't move money around because we think well, instead of using it here, let's use it there. There's a process in a small town.
Ann Norwalk?
By my arithmetic, there's $16,000 and some left over. Where's that going or what's happening to that?
Wow, I don't understand.
It
No,
was-
we're adding those two together, and it was actually about 95,000 going into the undesignated fund. We're adding those together,
Those two, oh, all right.
so. Yeah, we're not subtracting one from the other. They just add them together. I think comes out to 95,000 and change, and that's gonna go into undesignated.
Any other comments or questions? John Olson?
You mentioned the amount of money that the Board of Finance would like to have in the undesignated fund. Has it been examined to see whether this approximate $100,000 would be more beneficial in the long run to be used as either a portion thereof or the entire sum, paying down on our town debt to reduce the interest, the impact of that over the 30 years of the loan? Has that been examined to see whether it's more a cost beneficial thing for the town?
I don't believe it's been examined, John, but typically when we put money back in the undesignated fund, the Board of Finance can be approached on any kind of initiative. So if you want to approach them and use that as an option, the Board of Finance can then discuss that and go to the town and say, we'd like to take a portion of that out to pay down debt. But now we each year in the budget, we are paying down our long-term debt. But it's up to the Board of Finance to make that decision, not the Board of Selectmen.
Any other comments or questions? I'll accept a motion to move the question. Oh, excuse me. Did you have a comment? Oh. I need coffee. Okay, can I have a second? Paul Simon seconds. Show of hands should I read it? Or we know?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Shall the town deobligate the capital project fund boom bridge repair in the amount of $55,973.49 and the capital project fund financial software in the amount of $39,952.08? All in favor? Okay. So next I'll ask the town clerk to read the third question, please.
Number 3, shall the town approve an additional appropriation in the amount of $395,603 for use of reimbursable state steep grant funds for road work and paving as recommended by the Board of Finance?
I have a motion to approve the question for discussion to follow. Chet Stefanowitz. Can I have a second? Jamie. Thank you. Okay, Bob, would you like to explain?
Sure. So kind of like LoCIP, the state likes to deal with these acronyms. STEAP means Small Town Economic Assistance Program, I think that's what it means. And it's another way that the state gives monies to the town. On this, there was a 20% match. So by us applying for this grant, not all towns applied for it, but we did, and we were lucky enough to get it. So we applied for a just under, well, 395,603 is what we get from the state, but we have to do a 20% match of that, which we have money in our budget already assigned to doing road work. So by using that money that was already in our budget, we could go to the state and say, hey, we will be willing to put 20% up. We can get this money for our roads. And the state granted us the $395,000. So once the Board of Selectmen voted to put this grant application in and we got approved, we had to go to the Board of Finance now and say, hey, we've got this money from the state, but we have to spend it before we get it back. So by the Board of Finance saying, yes, we'll give you $395,000 from the undesignated fund, knowing that when we get the reimbursement from the state, that goes back in. But basically, we're getting just under $500,000 worth of road work done that we're only paying 20% as a town. So steep grant is a good thing. In fact, everything that we talked about tonight so far is the town getting money or putting money back or getting money, which is a good thing. This is like the easiest town meeting we'll probably do in a long time. So that's what how the steep grant works. This particular steep grant, we had some roads in Kingswood Meadowwood area that had to be finished up. And at the tail end, it came to our attention pretty much through Selectman Mastriani that the school had one parking lot that it's used as a playground, but could also be used as overflow parking that hadn't been done in a number of years, and it's pretty much cracked and there's grass growing through it. And could we add that to the request? And we did at the 11th hour, and our grant writer was able to get it in. So that there's about $100,000 of the $500,000 that's going towards fixing that one particular parking lot, and the other 400,000 going to fix roads in town. And that's pretty much it. And that will take questions if you have any.
Questions or comments? Chet Stefanowitz.
I just wanted to, again, express my gratitude to the Board of Selectmen for reaching out to the Board of Education on this. I think that it was an incredible way to be able to save taxpayer money on a variety of fronts. And I think that it's amazing to be able to see us get real positive work from the state and just take something that needed to be done and make it a lot less expensive on the residents of North Stonington. So thank you for your work on the steep grant. Thank you to the grant writer, Christine, and everybody else. And yeah, I hope this goes forward without any problems with that.
Thank you.
Brian
Brian?
Rathbun.
Yeah, I just, of the 395,603, do we have to pay, what was it, 98,000 I saw in here? Is that in addition to it, or is it?
So to get all the work that's going to get done is the 395 plus the 98, add them together. That's the 20% match that we had to do to get the balance.
Okay. That comes out of the undesignated office.
Well, we already had the money assigned in our budget already for town road maintenance. So it's already in the budget.
So we got that much?
So say that again.
Cover it? You got that much to cover?
Right,
the
so we didn't have to
98?
get any additional monies, but we did get from the state is that 395,000 is additional that came from them. So it was a windfall for the town, actually.
And Brian, the school is taking their 20% out of their non-lapsing, or their account that they have in reserves, and that's the special account. So they are utilizing that. So that's not coming out of the town municipal side.
Anyone else?
John
Anyone else who
Olson?
hasn't spoke?
You said our match is 20%
Yes.
of just under 400,000. 20% is almost.
No,
100,000.
it's just under 500,000. So the entire project cost was around 495,000. Christine, do you have the exact number?
$490,003.
That's the entire project of that.
So 20% of the project is our match. The steep grant is for the 400.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Comments, questions? Make a motion to Move the question to vote. Paul Simons, Will Mason second. Okay, so shall the town approve an additional appropriation in the amount of $395,603 for the use of reimbursable state steep grant funds for road work and paving as recommended by the Board of Finance? All in favor? Okay. It passes.
Mr. Mullane and Norwalk, since you're veterans, this is probably the easiest town meeting you've ever been at.
Can I have a motion to adjourn? And Norwalk, second. Will Mason.
Thank you all for coming. I'm sure the next town meeting will be more exciting because we'll probably be one on about the budget. So I hope to see you all then. Thank you.
Thank you.